Hey folks, today's topic of discussion is Game Management 201, Game Day Procedures. I'm Coach Jason, General Manager of Captain's Baseball Club, and I will be presenting this training to you. So let's look at our three takeaways for today. We're going to discuss first the pregame procedures, what we should be doing before we take the field. Then we're going to talk about in-game roles and responsibilities of coaches and players. And then we're going to talk about the post-game procedures. What should we do after the game's over? So when we look at pregame procedures, we're going to talk about objectives, and then I'm going to show you a sample schedule of what we should be doing before a game. Okay, so first of all, our objective of a pregame warm-up is to get our players physically and mentally prepared for competition. So one of the most frequently asked questions I get from new coaches is how early should we have our players arrive before a game? And that's a great question. You know, my answer would be early enough to achieve your objective. And our objective of the captains to get our players physically and mentally prepared for competition. In order to do that, I've found that an hour is typically how long it takes for me to get my teams ready for that. So I usually recommend about an hour. Some teams go 45 minutes. Some teams are a little bit earlier, but I think an hour is generally a good time frame for that. So another frequently asked question is, what should we be focusing on in the pregame warm-up? And my answer is routine is key. So make sure you keep it the same every time. No matter what you do, make sure you keep it the same. Mental preparation is mostly overlooked by a lot of teams, but it is critical to success on the field. So we try to focus on drills that our players are comfortable with. That helps build confidence, and also it's just bringing back the muscle memory recall. So we're not going full intent. We're not going maximum intent there in warm-ups. We're just trying to get that muscle memory recall and get them confident and get them ready for that game. Okay, so here's a sample pregame schedule on what it looks like if you're showing up an hour early. So I always recommend that the first 5 minutes you should be doing kind of a mental or physical preparation. This includes, this gives players a little bit of time if they show up a little bit late, they're not rushing to do the warm-ups. It gives them a few minutes of leeway, gives them a chance to put their bags in the dugout, hang it up, organized, get all their stuff out, ready to go, get their gloves, helmets, batting gloves out so that they're ready for all the warm-up drills. Some kids show up in slides. It gives them a chance. This 5 minutes gives them a chance to get their shoes on and their cleats tied. So, this is kind of a critical time to get them mentally ready and physically prepared to go through the warm-ups. Then I always recommend about 10 minutes to do dynamic warm-up. This would include any stretching or dynamic work. I know like Coach Aubrey, for instance, on her team, she likes to do power yoga with her kids to kind of get them centered and mentally ready for the rigors of a game. So that's something you can do in that 10 minutes as well, but definitely 5 to 10 minutes of mental and physical warm-up and preparation there. After that, we will typically go about 5 minutes where we'll have one group doing their J-bands, and then the other group is doing our med ball work. And so we do that for 5 minutes, and then we rotate. So then group one would do med balls, and group two would do their J-bands. After that, we spend about 10 minutes doing plyo throws. This is about 70 to 80% effort, so it's not max effort, and then do some catch play. So about 5 minutes of plyo throwing to get their arms loose, and then catch play for another 5 minutes to really dial in those throws. After that, we like to spend about 10 minutes doing our mini hitting plyo drills, where each player is taking somewhere between 10 to 20 or 25 swings each. So we try to rotate through as quickly as possible, where some kids are shagging while others are hitting, depending on how many bats you have or you're using. If you're doing underload, overload, or if you're just doing game bats, you can usually get 3 or 4 stations, depending on how many coaches are there to help throw. So for that 10 minutes, we're trying to get as many swings in as we can, and we're really ramped up at this point to max intent, where we're really trying to focus on swinging as fast as we can and making good solid contact. After that, we'll spend typically about 5 minutes doing some infield, outfield, and that's when we would typically pull our starting pitcher aside and have our starting pitcher and catcher get loose, get warm. Whether we're home team or away, we want to get them throwing a little light bullpen just to get dialed in and get themselves mentally and physically prepared for that. And when I say infield, outfield, I don't mean going and taking the infield and taking ground balls on the infield. What I mean is we usually will have our team split up in 2 groups, half of them in, half out, and then we'll just hit a couple of grounders to the group that's in, and then a fly ball to the outfield, and they'll relay it in to us, and then they'll just go then they'll rotate the line if you're in the the first spot, you'll go to the back of the outfield line. If you're in the outfield, you'll come to the back of the infield line. So you rotate through there. This is good if you're, for instance, if you're going to go play on a turf field and you're used to playing on dirt or grass, that gives you a chance to kind of see how the ball bounces. Again, we never take the field, but we just kind of do this in front of our own dugout where we can get kind of a feel. If we're used to playing on dirt infields and now we're playing on grass, just kind of see how the ball is going to roll on the grass. If we're used to playing on grass and now we're on dirt, gives us a chance to kind of figure that out. So it's a good way to kind of dial in our skills there. After that, we have typically a little discussion, whether that's 2, 3, 4, 5 minutes, but we allow ourselves some time to talk about what our goals are today and talk about what our intent is going to be during the game. If there's something specific we're going to be working on, we discuss that with the kids to kind of let them know what our plans are and what our goals are there. And then we always give about 5 minutes before the game to go and take care of whatever you need to, whether that's go grab a drink of water, go fill up your water bottle, whether it's go use the restroom. But this is a time for them to really focus and dial in and get ready before we take the field. So here's another sample warm up plan that we've used in the past. It's also very successful. Kind of the same thing, 5-minute mental physical preparation, dynamic warm up for 10 minutes. And then we've broken into like 3 groups where one group's doing med balls, one group's doing plyo front toss, and another group's doing plyo front toss with their just game swings, just getting ready. And then that's one group of just 5 or 6 players, and then group 2 is doing your J bands and wrist weights and things, and then those would rotate. So 20 minutes you're doing your med balls and swings at the same time as you're doing your J band. So that's always kind of good. That actually gives you a little bit more time to do after your couch play, where if you want to spend a little bit more time really focusing in on your infield and outfield, and that's a really good opportunity to do that. That also gives you in group 3, if you notice, your pitcher and catcher would have, it says 5 minutes there, but you'd really have about 10 minutes. So it provides you a little bit more time there. The same at the end with the 10 minutes of intention setting and a pregame discussion, and then, your mental and physical preparation. So these are just a couple of examples. But really, if there's something that you specifically want to work on and incorporate into that, I suggest you make sure that we're doing it the same every time. Right before a game is not when we're trying to practice or learn new things. That's what practice is for. So right before a game, it's really just about recall, building confidence, getting them mentally and physically prepared for the game. All right. So let's talk in-game procedures. These are mostly we're going to focus on roles and responsibilities of the coaches and what we're supposed to do to make sure that our games go as smooth as possible. All right. So we need to really establish what the purpose of competition is. I look at it as an opportunity to show what you know, and that includes coaches as well. It gives us an opportunity to show as coaches what we can do and that we can learn some new things and try new things. But we want to see what these kids know. We work with them hard in practice. We teach them new things. Game time is the chance for them to show us, hey, I learned what we worked on this week. This is what I know, and that's good. It also gives us a chance to assess progress. We can look and see how we're doing, if we're improving, if we're getting better. It's always fun to watch a team that plays the same teams multiple times, either through a season or season to season, just to kind of compare where we were the last time we played this team versus where we are now, and whether we're progressing and in what ways. So that's always kind of fun with competition, where you can really kind of see how you match up. It's also a chance to build mental toughness. It's a chance for us to learn and grow, both as players and coaches, and also as parents. Really, it gives us a good chance to determine what we need to practice because, again, we're not going to teach everything in a game, and that's really not the time to teach. But practice is where we teach. So this gives us a chance to say, oh, wow, well, that player didn't know where to throw the ball, didn't know what to do when the ball was hit to him. That's something we really need to work on this week at practice. So instead of yelling and barking orders and shouting at the players during the play, it's a chance for us to reflect and say, okay, we need to work with our outfield on hitting their cutoff, or we need to work with our infield on understanding, getting that second out. Sure, we could throw the ball to first to get the one out, but what about that second out? Where are we getting that? So those are just some kind of things that you can do during a game. But really with the kids, it's a good chance for them to just fall in love with the game of baseball. If you're only just practicing all the time, yeah, you can make it fun by gamifying it. But, games are where you really fall in love with the game of baseball, where you're sitting in the dugout with your buddies, where you're out there running around and making great plays and showing off what you can do. And that's where kids really do fall in love with the game. All right, so a couple of game day rules that I want to establish here and just make sure we're all on the same page here. First and foremost, only players and coaches in the dugout and on the field. This is a team-wide a program-wide captain's rule here. We don't want little siblings, parents, friends. Nobody's allowed in the dugout except for players and coaches. All right, period. My son wants to be a bat boy. Sorry, too bad. That's not how we do things here. Our kids need to be responsible for their own bats and their own equipment. We don't need a bat boy. We don't do that. Um, you know, oh well, can my friend come? My cousin's here, and no, no, players and coaches only. Um, Keep that in mind. All right. Players cannot leave the dugout without permission. It drives me nuts when I look over and I see a kid who's sitting out and he's over sitting with his parents, eating snacks and hang. When you're on the field, let the players know when your team is on the field and you're sitting out, it's your turn to sit and rest. It's time for you to watch the game, know what's going on, learn some things, kind of pick up some things. There's a lot of situations that happen. You got to learn those things. And the best way to do it is not by sitting with your parents and eating junk food. It's sitting in the dugout with your coaches and teammates and watching the game. Sometimes what I'll do with the younger kids is I'll ask them questions while I'm sitting out and watching the game. I'll ask them, randomly ask them what the count is and see if they know and just talk to them so that they can stay engaged in the game while they're sitting out. As far as outsiders, that includes parents, grandparents, siblings, friends, everybody. No talking to our players during the game. Please pass that along to everybody. Usually the parents are pretty good with this. It's the ones we have the most problem with are the siblings or grandparents or just friends coming over and wanting to talk. They'll show up behind the dugout and just start talking to the kids. And one thing that drives me nuts is when a kid strikes out and the mom or dad comes over and says, "It's okay. You're fine. You're okay." Yeah, he's fine. He knows he's fine. He knows he's going to be okay. That's what we teach in the captains. Failure is progress, right? Don't worry about it. He's okay. Stop checking on him every 5 minutes and let him build mental toughness. Just leave him alone. So that's a big pet peeve of mine. And so set the standard early. Let the parents know that is not acceptable. That's not how we do things in the captains. If they have a problem with it, they can go elsewhere, I guess. But that's just not. We're not going to compromise our standards for those. We have noticed a lot of improvement in our teams that adhere to these rules. So that's why we have them in place so that we can progress as fast as possible. All right. So the coaches' roles. There's typically to be successful on game day, you really need 3 to 4 coaches. And for the younger teams, you probably should lean closer to that 4. When they get a little bit older, this dugout coach maybe can be shared duties between 2 coaches. You need a first base coach. You got to have a third base coach. And then I call the 4th coach like the strategy coach. And really the other ones are kind of self-explanatory. We'll go into all the roles of them, but this is more like your defensive lineup, pitch and rotation, and warm up, your player discussions, correcting behaviors and different things. That's your strategy coach there. So, all right, let's talk about the dugout coach and what their roles are. Okay, so really the main focus is keeping the players engaged and in the game. Prepare them physically and mentally for the at-bat, talk about, what they're going to see and help them get mentally ready for that and physically make sure they know where they're up in the lineup so that we're not waiting around for them. Make sure they've got their batting gloves on and their helmet on, ready to go. You're basically encouraging them to do the bat boy duties. The way we've found the most success is that the batter that's in the hole, so that you've got your batter that's batting, and then your batter that's on deck that's kind of timing up the pitcher and practice swinging. The in the hole batter is waiting at the door of the dugout, and they are responsible for running up and getting the bat after the at bat. So if a player gets a hit or walks, they run up, get the bat, run it back to the dugout, and then they go into the on deck circle. And then the next person who's in the hole comes up to there, is ready to go, ready to do bat boy. So once that ball is put in play, or once they walk, they run up, grab the bat, and run it back to the dugout, and then they're on deck as well. So you just kind of keep that cycling and make sure the kids are responsible for that and engaged in doing that duty there. If there's any questions, a lot of times these kids have questions about what happened or why they were out or where they should throw the ball. This is a great opportunity to help them learn and grow and discuss different situations with the players. And that also helps them keep them engaged in the game. Really important to stay positive. These kids will match the energy of their coaches, match the energy of their parents, match the energy of their teammates. So if we're staying positive and energetic and happy, the kids are going to match that energy. So the dugout coach really sets the tone for how the game can go based on what their attitude is and what their approach is. And then also keep the dugout organized and tidy. Remind kids to put their helmets back with their bags. put their batting gloves in their bag so they don't lose them, and make sure they're putting their hats where they can find them quickly. Put their hats in their gloves while they're batting. Put those together. Organize them on the bench. Really help the kids stay organized and tidy. It also helps at the end of the game where we can get things put away much more quickly. All right, the first base coach. Really, the big deal is keeping players engaged while you're on there. I see a lot of base coaches that don't say a word to their kids. That is the absolute wrong way to coach. You've got to be constantly talking to these kids, reminding them of things like to pick up the sign from the third base coach. Hey, I know you want to talk to me about that at bat, but look at your coach. Turn around. Look. Did you get the sign? Perfect. You know what you're doing? Good. Let's go. Right? Really constant talking and engaging. I like asking them the situation. Hey, how many outs are there? What's the count? Do you know? Do you know what the count is? Do you know how many outs there are? Asking them those questions really helps them focus and stay engaged. I also encourage you to remind them of what to do. Okay, ball on the ground. We got to beat it there to second base. Hey, pass ball. We're running, right? We got to go. We got to go hard on a pass ball, okay? If it's a line drive, we're going to freeze. Watch what happens. If it's a fly ball to the outfield, we're going to go halfway, right? Just be ready. Be ready for the ball, okay? Here we go. Also helping them practice to get good jumps on like a secondary lead. This is especially important in like the 8U, 9U, 10U where you can't lead off. So once the ball crosses the plate, we're encouraging them, hey, get a good secondary lead. Help them see what that looks like. If you have to demonstrate it for them, on the sideline, do that as well. But just the more engaged you are and the more you're talking to them, the better off you're going to be as a first base coach. My big thing here is put the phone away. You don't need your phone there. Hopefully we have enough people that we're keeping Game Changer on something else so a base coach doesn't have to keep Game Changer. I've done that in the past. It's very difficult. It's hard to do. It's hard to stay engaged and keep Game Changer. If you get an emergency text or emergency call, that's one thing. But I know like a lot of base coaches will be like filming their kids at bat. Look, have someone else, have your spouse or another parent on the team film your kid. It's actually bad luck. I had a coach tell me one time that filming your kid from the field of play is actually bad luck and it jinxes it. And you don't want to jinx and offend the baseball gods, so you should never film from inside the field of play. It should always be done from the outside. So I've lived by that. Try not to film them. Really stay engaged with the base runners and engaged with the batter, and don't film them. Have somebody else film your kid if you really need to get game film for them. Or let's set up a camera and film the games with Game Changers so you can go back and watch it if you need to. All right, third base coach, very similar to first base coach. Keep the players engaged. Again, lots of talking. It's your job as a third base coach to give the sign to the batter and the base runners. Asking them the situation is always, always important. How many outs? What's the count? What do we do in this situation? Remind them what to do. Hey, ball in the air. We're going to tag up, right? Get back on the base. Hey, if it's a pass ball, we got to get a good secondary, right? We're breaking once that crosses the plate, and we're going to steal on a pass ball. We're only going to stop if the catcher catches it, right? Boom, here we go. Hey, ground ball to this side. Remember, we're going to freeze. We're going to freeze and wait for the throw to first, and then we're going to break home. So just those things, just kind of constantly reminding them so that they know, they feel confident and prepared on what they need to do. So engage with them, talk to them a lot, and really help them be prepared and know what to do when that ball is put in play or there's a pass ball or something. Again, helping them practice good jumps on their secondary lead. I like coach at third base where I like draw a line down the line. I'm like, this is where you want to get on your secondary lead, right? We want to get here. We want to freeze. We want to wait, see what the catcher does, see if he throws back on us, see if he throws back to the pitcher, right? We're going to wait and kind of see what we do there. So it's always good to kind of help them get that jump, read the ball across the plate, break at the right time. It helps them get really good practice now so that when they move on to like leading off and getting steals in the bigger field, they already know how to read the ball out of the hand and know where it's going to go and how to get those jumps. So it's good practice at the younger ages so that when they're older, they're ready to go. Again, can't emphasize this enough. Put the phone away. Don't text or film the at-bats. Let somebody else do it. Have a parent do it. If you want your spouse to come around the side of the dugout and do it so you get a better angle, I don't care, but just stop filming your kids when you're coaching bases. That I see coaches do that all the time, and it's like, dude, you're focused on your kids at bat, and you're not focusing on your job as a base coach. If you really want to film your kid every single time they're up to bat, then talk to your head coach and let them know, hey, I don't think I can fulfill these duties. I need to do something else so that I can film my kid if it's that important to you. All right, strategy coach. So this is the coach that is responsible for setting the defensive positions every inning. It monitors they monitor the pitch counts. This is a very important one, because pitch counts are vitally important to our players' health and development. So we want to be monitoring pitch counts, make sure they're not going over their pitch counts, and watching them and monitoring the accuracy to make sure they're not fatigued and falling apart out there on the mound. They typically would determine the pitching rotation and oversees the bullpen. So if there aren't enough players sitting out, this coach would warm up the next pitcher while we're waiting to put them in. So they would go and get them warmed up. And then also, I like this coach to just kind of record general observations during the game. So things that we maybe need to work on, things that we noticed that kind of went haywire during a play, and that we may see that again. So we want to practice it and work on it. So just kind of recording, either mentally or physically writing them down, or putting them in your phone as a note. Just record the observations during the game so we know what we can work on at practice. All right. Frequently asked question number 3, as far as coaches' roles. Does it matter which coach fills each role? Like, is the head coach always third base coach? Is the head coach? And the answer is that you should always try to play to each coach's strength. And there's really no set rule. Like, some head coaches like to be the third base coach, and some teams' base coaches rotate every inning. Some head coaches like to oversee the strategy. The coaching staff should decide what's best for their team. And I'll give you a little example. When I coach at THL Junior High, I don't like to coach third base. I'm the strategy coach. I'm working with the pitchers and catchers, and I'm helping them call the game. I'm helping them see what they need to see. I'm working with my pitchers. I'm keeping game changer. I'm looking at the pitch count. I'm monitoring everything and checking spray charts and see where this kid hit last time. And so, those are just kind of the things that I focus on when I'm the head coach. But when I'm the head coach of the younger teams, like the 8 and 9, 10U age, I like to be the third base coach because I'm very energetic. I'm outgoing. I'm engaged. I kind of get them. They kind of feed off of my energy and excitement, and so I like to be the third base coach when I'm there. When I'm the head coach of a younger team. When I was the head coach of what's now our 11U captains team, when I was the head coach in 8U, 9U, 10U, I was typically the third base coach. I would coach third base and do that every time. When I started my 11U team and Coach Aubrey was an assistant coach of mine, I made her the third base coach so that I could just focus on the strategy. So I was the strategy coach, and then we had Brett as the first base coach, and we would all kind of fill in on the dugout coach. And those kids were responsible enough that they could kind of do their own duties and get them ready. When I turned that team over to Aubrey and she became the head coach, she wanted to keep being the third base coach. And she asked me to stay on as kind of the pitching and strategy coach. So I still do that on that team and help out that way, but I'm not the head coach, but I've stayed in that strategy coach position. So it all depends on what your strengths are and what you're best at and what you want to do and what you want to work on. So, all right. So here's just a few lessons learned and some things to maybe consider that have helped us over the years and that should hopefully be able to help you as well. You should always have a designated game changer scorekeeper. And we like to ask them to sit kind of close to the strategy coach so that if the strategy coach isn't the one that's keeping, sometimes the strategy coach is the one that keeps game changer. But if they aren't, it's good to have them close to the strategy coach so that they can constantly remind them. I will sometimes ask my scorekeeper, hey, let me know when they get to this many pitches. Let me know when they get to 30. Let me know when they get to 45. Let me know when they get to 60. Different things there where I just want to know those things. So the game changer coach should be, or game changer scorekeeper should be close to me as a strategy coach so that they can let me know those things. Another one that Coach Aubrey implemented this year when she became head coach of our 11U captains team, she didn't want any buckets on the field during games. And her reasoning was that when we all sit on buckets, we tend to just kind of get complacent and we just kind of talk and joke around, and it just gets, we're not really giving full focus to our team. When we're all just sitting on buckets. So I like to sit on a bucket. It helps me just kind of focus and relax as I'm watching the game. And so when I do strategy coaching for her, I'm either standing, up the line in close to the dugout there and watching the game, or I'm sitting behind the dugout, like off out of the field of play on a bucket, just watching the game, making notes, kind of recording observations and different things. So that's a big one that Coach Aubrey wanted to implement just to kind of eliminate some of those, silly conversations that we as coaches tend to have sometimes. I like to joke around and tell stories and have fun. And she felt like that was a distraction to her team if we were doing that on the field. And by doing that out away back behind the dugout or aside from the dugout, it didn't distract our team as much and helped them focus and have more success. Walk-up songs. For many, many years, was fundamentally opposed to walk-up songs. I didn't like them. I thought they were a distraction. I thought they were horrible, and I wouldn't let my kids do them. And this year, we kind of changed our tune on that. Coach Aubrey said, absolutely, we need to have walk-up songs. So for her 11U team, when I handed it over to her, she said, we are 100% doing walk-up songs, and this is why. Her reasoning is that we need to have a good plate routine when we walk up to the plate and when we're taking an at bat. Part of that routine, we need to have something that can kind of help us center in and focus and remember that routine. And she says, what's a better way to do that than by having, your favorite song playing? And it reminds you to either, be brave, be strong, swing hard, focus, whatever it is. It's just a good cue where we as coaches don't need to yell anything to the player, don't need to yell cues. We don't do that. That's not a way, just yelling cues as a base coach is going to hurt them more than it helps them. So we just are there to be positive and just tell them to have fun and smile. But that walk-up song really helps them get centered and focused. So, don't yell cues at them. Let the walk-up song do the work for them. Set these standards early and stick to it. I can't tell you how hard it is to put a cat back in the bag once you've let it out. If you let parents come and talk to the kids during the games, it's going to be really hard to cut that off. So right at the beginning of the season, set the standard, let them know, hey, if you got to talk to your kid, you can do it after the game. If it's an emergency and you got to take him, come talk to a coach. If you need to give them a bottle of water or something, give it to one of us as coaches. We'll take care of it. Set that standard early, stick to it. Hey man, sorry, no siblings on the field. We're not going to let you coach bases. No, we have our own base coaches that know what they're doing. Definitely don't have older brothers come in and just, hey, can I coach? No, we have a standard. We stick to it. That's how we do. All right, let's talk post-game procedures real quick, and then we'll wrap this thing up. Okay, so immediately after the game, quickly give a team cheer to the other team, yell their name, run up to home plate, line up, shake hands. Always give high fives, be respectful as we greet our opponents, smile, tell them they did a good job. Happy to play them. Captains always say good game or nice game to our opponents. We congratulate them if they won. We tell them they did great if they lose. We never say GG. It drives me nuts when I see kids after a game just giving quick high fives from another team, just going GG, 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 GG. It is so disrespectful to that other team who just fought tooth and nail to give you their best. And you're going to say GG. You're not even going to take the time to say good game, to look them in the eye, shake their hand, give them a high five, and say, hey, you played well. Good job. Good game. There's a lot of acronyms and stuff that we do and abbreviations that we do in baseball, but this is absolutely unacceptable. We got to normalize teaching our kids to congratulate their opponents no matter what happened in the game and say the words good game, nice job, well done. Really give them a compliment. It really helps them appreciate the game and their opponents a lot more. We always shake hands with the other coaches. I don't care what happened in that game. I don't care if the tensions were high. I don't care if there was yelling. I don't care if their coach insulted you. We as captains always take the high road. That's part of being a captain, is that we do the things that other people don't. So if someone's going to be a jerk to us, that's their decision. Our decision is how we respond to that. We always shake hands with the other coaches. And that also goes for players and coaches will always thank the umpire after a game. Remember, if we didn't have umpires, we would not be able to play this game. We have to have them to play, and these kids deserve the best. So always go up and thank the umpires after the game. I don't care if they made bad calls. We're going to have bad umpires. It happens. I don't care if you agreed with everything. I don't care if you argued with them the whole game, which you shouldn't be doing if you're a captain, by the way. But I don't care what happened. You always go up and thank them. And if you got to clear the air for the next game, you do it. We're going to see a lot of these umpires multiple times. It's best to be in their good graces. And lastly, please, please, please don't let your kids run the bases after shaking hands. It's tacky. We're in a hurry. We got to get out of there. I just hate seeing kids just, hey, we won. Let's go run around the bases. You know what? Do that some other time. Do it on your time. You're on our time. We got to get the dugout cleared out. I don't know. It just feels rec ball to me. It just feels like amateur hour, act like you've been there before. Show some dignity, some class, shake the opponent's hands, give your team high fives, and then get back to the dugout as quickly as possible. So games are typically on a tight schedule, so we got to work quickly to clean out our dugout. I always say on my teams that catchers should be the first ones out of the dugout. Nobody is allowed to leave until the catchers are packed up and moved out, which means if you've got all of your stuff organized and cleaned up and picked up, then you go and help the catcher get their stuff put away and organized and cleaned up. Nobody leaves until the catcher's packed up and moved out. So get your gear and personal belongings out of the dugout as quickly as possible. That could include towards the end of the game, we're starting to kind of organize. We know the game's about to be over. We got to keep our stuff close together so that we can get it organized. And that especially goes for catchers whose gear tends to get strewn all about. So make sure we're organized there. Coaches are always going to be responsible for the team gear. So if we have, our underload overload bats, our hitting plyos, J bands, those are the responsibility of the coaches. So make sure that you are getting those things organized and ready to go. And always leave it better than you found it. This is just kind of goes without saying. If you come into a dugout and there's trash in it, make sure you pick it up before you leave. Don't ever leave any trash in a dugout. We play at a lot of different fields. Where a lot of us are lucky to play at the same field every time that we kind of manage and maintain and take care of. Leave it better than you found it. There's never any excuse to leave a dugout trashed. People allow us to use these fields. Let's take advantage of it and be good, good guests on their field. All right. So after we get everything put out of the dugout, we always do a post-game discussion. Meet with your team after every game, even if it's a doubleheader and it's a very short meeting. If you have back-to-back games, still meet with them. Talk to them real fast. Let them know, hey, proud of you. You guys did great. Go take a quick little break, but I'm proud of you. Let's go get this next game. Go take a break. Go to the bathroom. Be back here in 5 minutes, and then let's go. So after every game, you want to have a post game discussion. Again, keep it brief. Whether you have a game, a doubleheader or not, always just keep it brief. There's really no reason. I see teams sometimes come to our fields and they'll be out talking for 30, 40 minutes after a game. And I'm like, what on earth is there to talk about? They're in a heightened emotional state right now. These kids aren't going to remember what they talked about. Like, this is pointless. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't keep them for an hour afterwards. Be positive. Focus on growth moments. If there's something you want to share, focus on the positive things. Like, hey, I was really proud that you guys did this, or that so-and-so did this. They bounced back and did something amazing. Like, that's fine to share those things, but don't harass them and say, well, you got to fix this. We got to do this. We got to do that. If you want to correct something, just do it at practice. After a game is not the time to be correcting behaviors or telling someone they did something wrong and trying to fix that, right? Make a note of it. Take it to practice during the week. Let's fix it there. This is the time to celebrate, be positive, and focus on the growth moments. Remind the parents, if there's parents, if you allow parents, if you want them to come and be part of your team meeting afterwards, remind the parents. I do this a lot with new teams. Remind the parents of their support role and to refrain from coaching on the drive home. There's really only two things you need to talk to the kid about, and just hey, did you have fun? You can ask him, what was your favorite part? What did you learn? Talk to that. No time for correcting. Just ask them if they had fun, and then let them know how much you love watching them play. Those are the two most important things you can say to a kid. Ask them if they had fun and what they enjoyed about the game, and then tell them you loved watching them play. Let us be the bad guys at practice where we start fixing some of these things that you see. If you see it, we see it also. Let us be the bad guy. Let us do the hard work at practice. You can just enjoy and have fun on the drive home. We always like to play the game, what did you learn today? That's a big one that my team always plays. It really helps in that fail faster philosophy, and helps us encourage kids to share opportunities that they learned and grew, and help their teammates by hopefully learning the same thing from whether it was from their mistakes or just something that they saw, or sometimes it's a mistake of the other team. But what did you learn? So I always sing the song, and it goes, it's time for everyone's favorite game. What did we learn today? Hey! And I don't know, it's just a stupid little tune that I came up with, and now the kids on our 11U team just sing it all the time. You don't even have to do anything. I just have to go, and they will just finish it and sing it themselves. So it's a fun little thing that we do. You don't have to sing it if you don't want to, but it's a fun game where they get a chance to share some of the lessons learned from the game. Not everybody has to share. It's voluntary, so if somebody wants to share something, great. Sometimes we'll have one person share. Sometimes we'll have 10 people share. It's whoever wants to share something they learned, that is an opportunity for them to do so. Please refrain from giving game MVPs and celebrating, the outcomes on the field. Hey, so-and-so had 2 home runs today. He's our game MVP. Well, guess what? Another person hit 5 hard balls, and they were, 2 he got robbed of 3 home runs and he did just as good a job on the field. And, just celebrating outcomes versus processes is a problem. So don't give game MVPs. Let's not celebrate the outcomes. Let's focus on the process instead. One thing that our 11U team does a lot is they'll do what's called the bounce back buck, where Brett will bring $1 and he'll look for someone on the team. He also lets like that week's team captain. We do a team captain each week where they get a chance to talk to the team before the game and after the game, and he'll give them a chance to check on who gets the bounce back buck. He calls it. It's someone who showed extreme resiliency in the game, which is definitely something you can control. You can't control outcomes, but you can control your attitude. So someone who showed resiliency and bounced back and did well after maybe having a tough start or something. But they give $1 every week to someone who earns that. So those little things, do what you think is best. But these are some of the guidelines and recommendations on what to focus on and what not to do. All right, so our 3 takeaways today, what we talked about, we talked about the pregame procedures, what we need to do to get these kids physically and mentally prepared for competition. We talked about the coaches' in-game roles and responsibilities and how to get the most out of our players during the game. We also talked about what we should do after a game and how we should be behaving ourselves after the game's over and what we should do. So those were our 3 takeaways today. So as always, if you have any questions or would like any more information on this topic or any other topics, baseball related, feel free to email me at captainsballclub@gmail.com or visit our website, captainsballclub.com. Thanks, folks, and we will see you on the field.